The auction listing called it a proto-Labubu, spirit of the forest. For Leo, a collector of bizarre and obscure vinyl art toys, it was the ultimate grail. The price was exorbitant. The seller's history was a blank slate. The single photograph showed the doll sitting in a pool of shadow, its details murky. Its grin, however, was perfectly visible a wide, jagged slash of white in the gloom. He bought it without a second thought. When it arrived, the box was cold, as if it had been shipped from a refrigerated warehouse. The doll itself was heavier than its size suggested, its vinyl surface not smooth but faintly textured, like very fine skin. Its eyes, just two white dots in the deep-set sockets, seemed to hold a liquid darkness. Leo placed it on the highest shelf in his display case, a centerpiece among his other treasures. The change in the atmosphere was immediate, though subtle. A new smell lingered in his apartment, not unpleasant, but strange. The cloying sweetness of overripe fruit, undercut by the sharp mineral scent of wet stone. His cat, a normally aloof Persian named Jinx, took one look at the new arrival, hissed violently, and hid under the bed for 2 days. The first night, Leo woke to the sound of scratching. It was a soft, meticulous sound, like a dog dreaming. He dismissed it. The second night, it was louder. A persistent, grating scrape, like bone on glass. He followed the sound to his display case. All the other figures were untouched. The proto-Labu, however, was no longer facing forward. Its head was turned at a slight, impossible angle, its blank gaze fixed directly on his bedroom door. Its hands, once resting placidly on its knees, were now raised. The tiny claws pressed against the glass as if testing its strength. A cold dread, primal and unfamiliar, coiled in Leo's gut. He rationalized it. He must have bumped the case. The light was playing tricks. But the next morning, there were marks on the inside of the glass vine. Parallel scratches directly in front of the doll. He decided to get rid of it. The feeling of wrongness was too intense. He took the doll from the shelf, its vinyl unnervingly warm now, shoved it into a kitchen trash bag, knotting the top tightly. He carried the bag down to the building's industrial incinerator chute. As he released it, he swore he heard a faint, high-pitched giggle echo up the metal shaft. He returned to his apartment, his hands shaking with relief. It was over. It was on his kitchen counter, waiting for him. The trash bag was gone. The doll was pristine, save for one new, terrifying detail. A faint, rust-colored stain was smudged around its jagged mouth. The sweet stone smell was stronger here, now mixed with the unmistakable coppery temps of blood. Panic seized him, grabbed a heavy chef's knife from the block. This thing, whatever it was, would not dictate the rules. He raised the knife and brought it down with all his strength on the doll's head. The blade did not cut. It did not even dent the vinyl. It stopped dead as if he had struck a block of solid iron. The force of the impact vibrated up his arm, numbing his elbow. And the doll reacted, its head tilted. The two white dot eyes seemed to shrink, narrowing into pinpricks of malevolent intelligence. The grin widened, the vinyl around it creasing into horrifying new lines. A low, guttural, chittering sound emanated from it, a noise no object should ever make. Leo stumbled backward, his courage shattering. This was no toy. This was a vessel. Something was inside. He fled to his bedroom and barricaded the door, pushing his dresser against it. He called the police, but the line was dead, filled with a static that sounded like the chittering of 1,000 insects. The lights in his apartment began to flicker, and then died, plunging him into a darkness that was absolute and suffocating. The only sound was the slow, deliberate tap, tap, tap of tiny, hard feet on the hardwood floor of the hallway. It was coming closer. Then, the scratching began at the door, not the testing scrapes from before. This was violent, frenzied. Long, deep gouges were being torn out of the solid wood. Splinters flew into the room. Leo watched, paralyzed, as a single claw-tipped finger poked through a fresh hole and began to methodically widen it. The door was coming apart. He scrambled into the farthest corner of the room, pulling a blanket over his head like a child. As the world dissolved into a symphony of tearing wood and gleeful, chittering laughter, the tearing stopped. Silence that followed was worse. Leo dared to lower the blanket. The barricade was in ruins. The door hung open into the dark hall, and standing in the threshold was the Labubu, It was no longer static, it was crouched, poised like a predator, its limbs subtly elongated. The white dots of its eyes now glowed with a faint infernal light. The rust around its mouth was fresh and wet. It took a step into the room, then another. Its movements were jerky, unnatural, a marionette controlled by a malicious god. It began to change. The vinyl of its face began to bubble and split. From the widening grin, more teeth emerged, needle-sharp and endless. Seams on its body tore open, not revealing stuffing, but a deeper, impossible darkness from which thin, spindly limbs of polished black bone unfolded, scraping against the floor. The cute forest spirit was gone. In its place was the true entity, a thing of teeth and shadows and ancient hunger, launched itself at him. The pain was excruciating and precise. The tiny claws were like surgical tools, flaying skin from muscle with terrifying efficiency. The needle teeth buried themselves in his flesh, not to eat, but to siphon, to drink. He felt his warmth, his vitality, his very essence being drawn out of him. He thrashed and screamed, but the thing was impossibly strong, pinning him down as his blood soaked the carpet. His vision dimmed. The last thing he saw was the creature perched on his chest, its true form a writhing shadow against the ceiling. It leaned close, its grin the last thing in the world, and a single, hot drop of his own blood fell from its chin onto his cheek. The chittering softened into a contented buzzing purr. The police found the apartment the next day. A neighbor had reported the smell. There was no sign of Leo. The place was a charnel house, drenched in blood from floor to ceiling, as if something had been blended in the center of the room. Slash marks covered the walls. On the blood-slicked kitchen counter, sitting perfectly upright, was the Labubu doll. Its vinyl was clean. Its expression returned to its default mischievous grin. It looked brand new. One of the officers, a young woman, reached for it. "Hey, that's kind of cute!" Her partner grabbed her wrist. "Don't." His eyes were fixed not on the doll but on the wall behind it. Written, in a substance that was still tacky and dark, was a single phrase, punctuated by a childish smiling face. He played,